Hey Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. Pod Up, because we are Gator fans. So say it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Good morning and welcome to a Friday edition of Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. It's Friday. We made it to Friday, folks. Hope you have a good weekend. Show's over. Just kidding. We're going to be joined by JC here in a minute on the Titan MR hotline. If you missed it last night, the damn Lady Gators upset the number 17 in the country again.
I wouldn't call it. It was a blowout. Forget about upset, brother. They blew those girls from Tennessee right out of the building.
Yeah, at Tennessee, at Thompson Bowling Arena.
They're better than the men's team. I'm telling you right now, if he doesn't get this interim tag off Kelly Ray, she might go looking elsewhere, and I wouldn't blame her.
Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, it makes absolutely no sense, and I know how coaches kind of let the season play out, and maybe he doesn't want it to be a distraction right now. Who knows what the reasoning is, but I got a pretty good feeling she's going to be our head ball coach.
Yeah. I'm sure I have no doubt there's a deal going on behind. It's just not time to announce it yet, although I don't know why it wouldn't be. The last thing you want to do if they don't have something going on behind the scenes is allow her to get that resume ready and start sending things out to other schools.
Well, for all we know, JC, we're just normal people. We have nothing to do with the firm over there. And they could have a handshake agreement or say, you know what, maybe Kelly Ray said, you know what, my girls are playing so well right now.
Let's not even talk about it.
Let's just do what we're doing. And yes, I'll be your head coach when the season's over. So
there's no doubt the girls love her. I mean, they play hard for this coach, and she's going to be the Florida head coach. I have no doubt about it.
Yeah, and we got some Facebook Lives here brought to you by Mellon Law, the only law firm part of the Florida Gators. Cliff says, what the hell is Strickland waiting on? Like I said, Scott knows what he's doing, whether you believe it or not. I think he's a good athletic director. I just think things are going so well right now that, as I just mentioned, let's don't have any other distractions, and just the girls are focused. They're playing extremely well. Keep it at that. Rick says there ain't nothing normal about you two. What do we do, JC? Did we do something?
I don't know, but Rick's tuning in every morning, so he must love the abnormality of us two. So right. God bless you, Rick. Thank you.
John asked here, I want to get your thoughts on this, you being an Alabama guy.
Well, yeah.
Brian Harsin, there's a lot of stuff going on there. People are talking about maybe he gets fired. I haven't followed it closely enough. I know he's lost a ton of coaches. Coaches are signing and leaving. So the Plains, it's a mess there, JC. What do you know? What are your sources tell you?
There's a lot of confusion about Brian Harsin, the offensive coordinator thing. But this thing goes back with Brian Harsin all the way back to last season when he was one of the coaches in the conference that was not vaccinated. And they had a vaccine mandate at Auburn University. And they had until, I think, December 15th. And nothing was said about it. The story went away. And so you'd think that things got settled behind the scenes. And so it's very secretive in Auburn. Auburn is like this little enclave in southeastern Alabama. And we up in northwestern Alabama like to call Auburn West Georgia. And basically, you don't get a lot of information out of there. It's always been that way. And it is one of those places that basically when something happens, you hear about it afterwards. I think there is chaos, though. You can't lose this offensive coordinator so quickly to personal reasons, even though maybe Harsin had nothing to do with that. But I just think that right now, the way they recruited was about average. You would have hoped that as an Auburn fan, they would have signed more higher rated players than they did. But really, I don't know what they're going to do. The quarterback position is kind of up in the air with Finley. And now they've got who's the other kid, QB? You know who I'm talking about.
I don't know.
Oh, you don't know? Well, there's another one that transferred over to Auburn from
Oregon. Didn't they switch quarterbacks? Didn't Bo Nix go there and then one guy came there? One guy from Oregon came? I don't know.
Yeah.
I really don't care.
It's a mess. I don't care about Auburn either. I think they're overrated every year. I mean, honest to God. They win the national championship, and then 2 years later, they're 4-8. So there's nothing special there at Auburn.
We got a text here on the Titan MRI hotline from John. John says, yes, there's a lot of problems going on up at Auburn. There's also rumors that Brian Harsin is having an affair with his assistant.
See, I mean, yeah, anything can be said on chat rooms. That state is civil war up there. You know that. And I really don't know why they hate each other so much. I know it's one side or the other in that state, but nothing precludes anything from that. I mean, when Bruce Pearl wins a basketball game in February, starts doing what the football players did in the student section after the game because they beat Alabama by 19 in a basketball game, you can see that the feelings there are very sensitive. And I just don't get it. I mean, you tell me why, QB. Well, could you imagine?
Go ahead.
Could you imagine Mike Wright going to Tallahassee and mocking the Seminoles by dancing around like the players did on the football field? Could you imagine that? I mean, is that really what coaches do? So, I mean, I like Bruce Pearl. I think he's emotional. I think he's into the students and he's into what he's got there. And he loves Auburn for hiring him. Because they had to show cost to hire him. But, my gosh, I mean, act like you've been there, really. I mean, they throw toilet paper in trees, dude. I mean, what else?
Yeah, well, that's just a tradition. I have no problem with that. Alan says the NFL caps.
You don't have to clean it up.
He said the NFL caps fit better on JC's head. Maybe they don't like the way that hat fits on your head, JC.
What's wrong with my Gator hat? Gee whiz. Why? You don't like the UF?
No, he said it doesn't fit your big old head for some reason. I don't know.
Thank you.
Gators men basketball play. They host Ole Miss tomorrow at 3:30. Gators sit at 4-5 in conference play, kind of middle of the pack. We need this game. We're still, as of today, we're in the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
So a big game in the O'Connell Center against a team that we had to do that makeup game and didn't play real well. We had like that NBA schedule going on at the time. Before we get to some more texts and Facebook Lives, well, there is a Facebook Live I wanted to read if I can find it again. It comes from, John says, supposedly Harsin had an affair with a staffer. They are saying expect Harsin to be fired this weekend. Like I said, Bobby Petrino 2.0.
Oh, gosh, really? This weekend? You really think that's going to happen? I mean, what? Oh.
I don't know.
That is surprising. I mean, what would you do if you were a recruit and you just signed with Auburn and something like this happens to your coach?
Well, anyway, someone on here. Oh, here it is. Brett on Facebook Live, brought to you by Melon Law. He says, ask JC if he enjoyed his first night of the Winter Olympics.
I didn't even know they had it. Was it last night? First night?
I guess it started last night. I'm not aware of it either.
Yeah. I care about that about as much as I do, like I said, trimming the hedges outside. I think, shoot, I just lost my train of thought. Damn it, what was I going to say? Go ahead, QB. Oh, what did you think of what I was going to this is what I was going to ask. SEC Network won't let this Jimbo Fisher thing die. The rant he went on. We all know how great Texas A&M recruited. We all know how great Texas A&M is as a school and a university and how great their traditions are, gig 'em, all this,
You'd be a good yell leader.
I mean,
I guarantee you, if you would have gone to A&M, you've been one of those dudes down there doing all the yells.
You guarantee that? All I want to know is, do you have a reaction at all to anything the guy said? I mean, as a football player?
I personally, the one thing I liked about it was, it was more, I know he directed some of it at a couple of coaches, but set that aside. It was more about some of those people from the chat boards or whatever he kept saying. Look, there's been cheating going on in recruiting ever since recruiting started. It just, some schools got caught, some never did. Now teams can cheat or pay players.
Not cheating. I mean,
well, that's not, but it's a whole different subject. I had no problem with his rant. I had zero problem with it.
But now, QB, you were one of the guys who came out here and said, did you read that piece about $30 million going to these recruits? And he categorically denies that even happened. So, and he's offended that people would think that they recruited this class because of $30 million or big booster donations and stuff.
Right.
And yet this piece comes out. You talked about it a month ago, literally.
Right. But here's the thing. Maybe those guys years. So it's not like they went from 50th in the country last year in recruiting to the number one best overall class in the history of college football. I mean, they were in the top 5 probably last year. Were they not?
Well, they were very high for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, they have a lot to offer there. There's absolutely no doubt about it. But I just think sometimes when you start calling out other coaches and teams and players, then you put a target on your back, and that's not the kind of school that needs that because they haven't won anything. So
no, but I think the general public talks about bulletin board material and all that stuff. I personally believe that's so overrated. It has nothing to do with the way, after a team wins or whatever, Molly McGrath comes up. Well, what JC said, did that have anything to do with the way you played this week? Of course they're going to say, yeah, it kind of rubbed us the wrong way. They ain't got a damn thing about blocking, tackling, and catching and throwing.
Right.
All right. Let's switch gears for just a second because we've had a bunch of Facebook Lives.
How about Doug Peterson?
That's what I was getting. It was about the Jags. So Scott says on Facebook Live, the Jags hired Doug Peterson. Leftwich is going back to Tampa as the OC. I see Leftwich being the head coach at Tampa when Arians retires in the next year or two. Any thoughts? No, I thought when the whole coaching search started for the Jags, I thought Doug Peterson would have been a perfect fit. Former quarterback who played as a backup in the league. Hell, he may have been a backup longer than I was. Then coached, won a Super Bowl. He knows how to handle quarterbacks. I don't know what took him so long. Maybe Doug Peterson wasn't that interested initially, but I think it's a tremendous hire for the Jags.
I agree. I absolutely agree. I mean, I think, in spite of his 42-37-1 record, he is what he did at Philadelphia had never been done before. And, he did it with a guy named Nick Foles. And if you find the right mix between a quarterback and an offensive play caller, and this is why Carson Wentz was so much poorer. I think Nick Foles and Doug Peterson are literally like the two eyes on your head. They worked so well together. And then when Nick Foles wasn't there and Carson Wentz played, there were issues. And so if you can find that guy to help Trevor Lawrence and then get some help around Trevor, then maybe they have something there. And I would hope so because he can turn around quickly in the NFL, as we know. And so I think this is a really smart hire by Schott. It might be his best hire that he's had. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, Tom, that roster is so bad. They've really got it. They need to address free agency, but the problem in free agency, do guys want to go play for the Jaguars?
Well, but we've already seen it happen, QB. If Cincinnati could do it, having been the worst team in football 2 years ago, then it can be done. And if
the one thing about Cincinnati, though, JC, I will tell you this: even when they were bad, who was playing quarterback before Burrow got there?
Oh my. Well, I'd have to think about that, but it was horrible. I mean,
I can't even remember. But what I'm saying is they had that Taj Boyd, not Taj Boyd. What is the Boyd wide receiver? They also had another couple. What I'm saying is they had the running backs. They had 2 really good running backs. I can't even think of their names right now.
Well, they had Giovanni Bernard, and
they had Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton was not a bad NFL quarterback.
No, but the Bengals were just they were horrible. I mean, look at their record when they were there. I mean, they just were bad. And I just think it could happen that in this league, with the way it's set up, you can be better quicker, I guess is what I'm trying to say. If you get the right people in place. And Doug Peterson, I think he's a winner. I know his record was somewhat pedestrian at Philadelphia, but man, I mean, they put a statue out there for Nick Foles. And Nick Foles doesn't win a Super Bowl without Doug Peterson, and Doug Peterson doesn't win a Super Bowl without Nick Foles. Would you agree with that?
Correct. Rap Spot's expanding, folks. Second location in the heart of Gainesville, 1931 North Main Street. Rap Spot's teamed up with a crew at Vibrant Vinyl Works to offer color change wraps, advertising wraps, custom striping, hood wraps, and wall wraps. Go check out our good friends at the Rap Spot. Speaking with JC on the Titan Tomorrow Hotline, Joseph says A&M was number 8 in recruiting last year. So,
that's pretty good.
Look, I know Jimbo, he's talking out of both sides of his mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing, as you just said, well, A&M ain't going anywhere, folks. They got so much money out there, and they got some of the best facilities in the world. They're not going anywhere. Speaking of facilities, I saw on Twitter, Alabama is building a new Coliseum for basketball, gymnastics. What else are they building up there, JC?
They're going to have a golf facility that is going to look like Augusta National. I mean, I'm not overstating that either. The clubhouse, the drive to the clubhouse, the golf course behind the clubhouse, it looks royal. And so they're going to put.
Are they building a new golf course or just a clubhouse?
No, they're going to put a course there and a clubhouse. And, they're going to get that program what it deserves because it's a national championship winning program. And one of the things is that with all this money that's about to hit these schools, and it is absurd how much money these schools are going to be coming into here soon with these new TV contracts for football. They're going to get ahead of it now. You can borrow money for virtually nothing in a position that school is in, and then just pay it back when the banks know they're going to get paid back. They'll give it to you tomorrow. And Alabama's going to take the initiative. Now, that Coliseum that they play basketball in and they do gymnastics in was the same place that I attended when I was in school back in the early 80s and mid 80s. And it is so old and so just grungy that they've tried to put lipstick on it, and it's okay. But, it's kind of like what Florida's tried to do with this O'Connell Center, making it Zactec Arena and putting $50 million into it to make it better. And they did. And that's what Alabama needs to do. By the way, QB, the Bengals were 2-14 2 years ago, just so you know. All right, so Alabama is going to do the same thing that all these other schools are going to do. Eventually, it just seems like Alabama gets the word out quick.
You know what's going to happen at Alabama? I'm calling it right now because I can see what they're thinking. I don't know where they're building this new arena, but if no one's familiar with Alabama's campus, Coleman Coliseum is about 50 yards from the Alabama football complex.
And baseball stadium.
Right. So my point is that thing is going to be bulldozed, and you're getting ready to see a new football facility being built is what's going to happen. Absolutely.
I mean,
that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, everything is right there together on the southeast part of campus on the very fringe. And I agree. I think that's exactly what you're going to see. And, it's an arms race. It has been. And, everybody's got their own nice, nuanced facilities. And that's what kids want to see. And that's what alumni want to see. And that's what boosters want to see. And you're going to see it here in Florida, too, with that new football facility coming. So it's exciting.
We got back to the NFL and Byron Leftwich. Chris says, give me your thoughts on this, JC. He says, with Byron Leftwich will become a non-factor with whatever QB Tampa plays with.
Well, yeah. I mean, good play callers are made good play callers with great players, right? Does that make any sense? I don't know. I mean, what do you think? If Aaron Rodgers signs with Tampa, you think Byron's going to mind that?
If Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah.
Oh, he'll look like a wizard.
He'll look like a genius, won't he? But if they bring in some other guy that nobody's heard of, or they try to develop a guy, or they say it's Blaine Gabbert for this transitional year, then Byron Leftwich is not going to look like a wizard anymore. Yeah. I mean, I think play callers are very important, QB, but you know as well as I do, it's got to be the guy behind.
Well, the guy's got to understand what to do, and it's got to be accurate, make good decisions. All the three things I talk about are extremely important. But it's going to be interesting to see what Tampa does. We talked about it yesterday or maybe the day before. I know a lot of people think since Kyle was drafted in the second round, it's his team.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I don't buy that because I just don't understand why they never dressed him out. I know they weren't ever going to play him, but that's the way you let your future guy get a feel for the game and learn for the game on the sidelines. And, word is they're going to trade for somebody. We just don't know who that person is.
Could be. And who knows why. I mean, we don't know what practice looked like or anything, but when it's 40-9 against Carolina and Blaine Gabbert's taking your snaps, that can't make Kyle Trask look good. Because Blaine Gabbert's not going to be your future. We all know that.
Well, my point is Kyle Trask couldn't take those snaps in a blowout because he's
wasn't
wearing
dressed.
jeans.
Right. Yeah, exactly. He was in the club section.
Okay. So speaking of the NFL, I want to get your thoughts on this, JC. It comes from John on Facebook Live. He says, do you think Brian Flores has the paper trail to prove his allegations? If these owners are offering bonuses to lose games, that is a huge deal.
I think he does, or at least he feels like he does, because he's basically sacrificed any possible or potential career in this league. So if he's willing to go out and do that, then he believes he can win. I mean, or he believes he's just got to be the guy, the martyr. I don't know, but he's essentially never going to be a head coach in that league again, I wouldn't think, unless there is a general manager or an owner that he's very close to that would give him the opportunity. And maybe he knows of somebody like that, but I have a feeling he doesn't. And, you know, what he said about John Elway being drunk and disheveled when he came and interviewed. And then Elway's response yesterday was, to me, just as good as anything. So why would you believe Flores over Elway? You know, Elway said that's all baloney. You know, we were coming in overnight from an interview with another team. And yeah, we flew in overnight and we weren't, you know, polished.
Even if he was drunk, what does it matter?
Well, I guess that wouldn't be very professional, but
right.
I think that would be kind of ugly. But I don't know why you would take Brian Flores' word for it. Look, what Bill Belichick did for Brian Flores was basically get him in the league and help him become who he was. And for him to just spit on Bill Belichick because Belichick probably made an honest mistake is, I think, indicative of somebody who's got an axe to grind with somebody else or a lot of people. And that's not the guy you want to hire.
Yeah, so we'll see. Back to the college game. Scott has a question brought to you by Melton Law. When Texas and OU join the SEC, I heard the Big 12 will add 4 teams. Yes, they're adding BYU, UCF, and Cincinnati, and one other team. Who is the other team? Houston, right? Yes, what I thought.
Houston Cougar. That's a natural fit. That makes all the sense in the world, as does, I believe, Cincinnati. And then you have BYU way out west in Utah and UCF way out east in Florida. I think the Big 12 did about as good a job of saving face and protecting that league as possible. You've got Orlando, Cincinnati, Houston, and a very respected school out west. So I think they did a very good job with those expansion teams.
Yeah. Eric's got a good question here, brought to you by Melton Law. When Florida opens its new facility, how will it compare to the other great programs in college football? It'll be right up there with them.
Yeah,
all of them have a little bit something unique to them. Mm-hmm. But this is something that I have been preaching for 10 to 12 years. That we had to have one because I've seen all the other ones.
Yeah.
I know Billy Napier's made a few changes here and there, not a lot, because once the building was constructed, there's only so much you can do. But the best thing about it is, and people don't understand this, is the football team will never be in the south end zone anymore, except to get dressed on a Saturday and run out of the tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like right now, they have to get dressed, they work out there, and then they have to walk all the way across the O'Connell Center parking lot to work out, which never made sense. And then we decided to build an indoor facility where we had to call buses when bad weather was there to get us to the indoor, where normally you just walk from one door to the other door and you're in your indoor. So all of it's going to be connected, which had to be to make sense. But it'll be right up there with Alabama, Georgia, Clemson, all those guys. So it's something we've needed.
Yeah, one thing I'd also say too, QB, is that, you've been harping on the facility issue for 12, 14 years, however long it's been, and it's been a long time. And, for all the heat that Will Muschamp took as coach of the Florida Gators, the one thing I will defend him on was that he was absolutely right about the disadvantages that he was faced when he had to go practice in the damn O'Connell Center when it rained. And while everybody else was practicing in their own room facilities, this guy's got kids skating over to the damn O-Dome. And that's just not right. That wasn't fair. And I guess fair is not the right word. I just think it was a disadvantage inherent to Florida. And he had to go through that. And I don't know if that's an excuse for why he wasn't successful here, but it was true that he always had to deal with some of these things that other schools didn't have to. And I guess that was just part of taking the job. But I don't think he thought that when he took the job, they would be so far behind everyone else they competed with on this issue. And I think it stemmed from his superiors on down. It was a top-down problem.
It's been an issue for all the head coaches competing against everyone. I do know for a fact that when Will Muschamp was the coach, he wanted football to take over and build a football standalone facility where lacrosse is, because you already had all that land. You had multiple practice fields. You had that little, probably 1,000-seat little area where mom and dad and media can watch practice, but you had plenty of room there.
It's like 5 acres, 5 acres.
But that got axed, which I personally think that's where it should have been put, because you can continue building there. I mean, think about in 10 years, they're going to have to do something to the new football facility that we haven't moved in to keep up.
Yeah, it's space constrained. It is. That track takes up a lot of space too. I always thought maybe you could move the track somewhere. That would be easy, wouldn't it? I mean, the track.
Well, that would we're probably long gone by then, JC. But the football facility will probably expand that way, and they'll build the track out there, out by baseball and stuff.
Absolutely.
Andy says on Facebook Live, Flores will be the Kaepernick of coaches. Yeah, he ain't coaching again.
No, I there's no chance, 0 chance.
I mean, he really rolled the dice with this deal.
Well, that's why he probably thinks he can win with that question that we answered earlier. That was asked earlier. But
Greg wants to know whatever happened to the talk of putting in actual seats and removing the bleachers and reducing the seating capacity in the Swamp. I think that's part of the plan in the future. I think it will happen. I tell you what, those seats, I have a hard time. I can't. It's miserable sitting in those seats.
It truly is. And that's one of the other reasons why I think the Rose Bowl sucks. You've got awful viewing and bench seats, about 80,000 of them. So, yeah, I mean, it's time for these things to be upgraded. I play at a golf course over here. I won't name the name. But that building, the pro shop, the club area, everything about it is still in the early 90s. They just, I don't know why things don't evolve when there's plenty of money for it to happen. And now with these new TV contracts about to hit, I think you're going to see a massive amount of spending. And Alabama is showing with what you saw on Twitter and what I saw on Twitter that's going to be used.
Kevin here says, JC, the old ball coach, had the same issues. I think he's referring to you about recruiting. That is not the case. Nobody, when Coach Spurrier was here, had football standalone facilities. Nobody.
Yeah, that was in the 90s.
Here's the thing. When he was at South Carolina, they built a standalone Jerry and Steve Spurrier indoor complex. So, yes, it's crucial. So it's crucial when it comes to recruiting. Dan says demolish the basketball arena and move it somewhere. That's another option on down the road.
Well, I don't see that happening with the money they just put into the place. But
true. I think it makes more sense because you don't have to tear up a whole lot of stuff. The track area, if you want to expand that way.
But I think it's the track. It's got to be the track. I mean, that's just land. There's nothing there. It's just flat land. You can do a lot with that room and that space, parking, whatever you want to do with it. You can do something. Expand and go that way. Yeah, definitely go west. Go west. That's what everything in Alachua County does. It goes west.
Go west, young man. Go west.
That's right.
All right. So if you missed it, Lady Gators win last night against Tennessee. Number 17 team in America. Men's basketball tomorrow against Ole Miss at 3:30 in the O'Connell Center. Tennis has been winning. We'll get caught up with that. Softball kicks off next Friday out in Tampa at South Florida. We just had another text come in real quick, JC.
Yes, sir. I love it.
Hey, guys, love the show. This is from Larry. Larry says, out of the NFL coaches that are hired to new organizations, which one, if y'all were coaching, would you want to take over?
I would say even though it's probably the toughest division in football, I think the Raiders offer an attractive job. I think that the area to live is desirable. I don't think there's an income tax in Nevada. And I also think that you've got a huge, huge arena, to play in, a huge stadium, beautiful, brand new facility. I don't know what it's like working for the Davis family. I wouldn't know that. But Jim Harbaugh the thing with Minnesota was I don't think he goes there if he didn't think he was going to be hired there on the spot. And because that didn't happen, he decided to stay at Michigan. And I don't know if he was advised right or wrongly. He doesn't have an agent. And so, he probably wouldn't have gone to interview with Minnesota if he thought they weren't just going to give him the job right then and there. So I don't know how desirable Minnesota would be, but I think the Vegas Raiders would be the one that I would pick. But I don't know.
Yeah, Dan says here it's a new arena, no income tax in Vegas. So have all the NFL jobs been?
No, Houston is still, and that's another thing. I thought firing David Culley was a horrible thing that the Texans did. I think firing Brian Flores was a very poor move, but Stephen Ross has made poor moves since he bought the team. And I think Houston would be a good job too. I mean, I don't know if getting players.
I think Davis Mills is going to be a really good pro.
Yeah,
I liked him coming out.
Yeah, I think that's a very desirable job. Texas against no state income tax. And we all laugh at that, but it does matter when you take 8% out of what you make, 8, 10, 9, whatever, on top of everything else. So I would say the Raiders, and then you've got the Texans, you've got of course the Dolphins, the Jags have filled their spot, and I thought that was a great move finally by that organization. And then of course Minnesota. The Giants hired Brian Dable. I don't know what's so special about him. And so we'll see. I think Josh Allen helped Brian Dable look good. And
you know what's interesting?
I don't know why that's
you know who just became the new QB coach for the Buffalo Bills?
I do. Tell me, but so I don't sit here thinking, but I did see that.
Joe Brady.
Yes, the Carolina Panthers OC. Yeah, I saw
who was at LSU. So
that's right. With Joe Burrow.
Yeah. So it's crazy how he was the hot commodity, gets fired. Now he's the QB coach for Josh Allen. So Ken Dorsey, the former Miami QB, is the offense coordinator now there.
Yeah.
So anyway, so JC, we just had a Facebook Live, and I totally forgot about this because we haven't really gotten to the swing of things. But we got to get back to our Peachland Dental golf picks. So I want you to pull up. It's the AT&T, which I'm not a big fan of the AT&T Pro-Am because
you don't like all that.
It's a silly format. I hate golf tournaments where you play it on two different courses. I don't think it's fair.
Yeah, no, and that course is not prepared for this tournament like it is for the U.S. Open, obviously, right? But so the scores there are you can't compare them. But QB, I'm looking at this leaderboard after the first round. Jonas. You
don't know any of these guys, do you?
I don't know who Smotherman is. Putnam, Cantley, I do know. O'Hare, I've heard of him. But you have to go all the way down to I guess Bill Haas and Ryan Moore. There's Stallings, Bo Van Pelt, Jason Day. So. Yeah, I think the big guys are going to play either next week or the week after. Next week, it's in Phoenix for that waste management tournament that everybody gets excited about, and then the big one is in at the Jennison Invitation, which is at Riviera in LA, and everybody goes to that one. But in this case, I don't know. You want to pick two guys or something?
Yeah, we'll pick two. Let me get to the it's Peachland Dentistry, Gator Nation's #1 choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte and surrounding areas. Visit them at peachlanddental.com. If you need to go get your teeth cleaned, go check them out.
Hey, go say hi to Joe Lawson too. He is a fantastic dentist. A golf partner of mine. I like everything about Big Joe. When you're shooting 9 under in the first round, that course is not set up to be difficult. So
we don't know if they play Pebble Beach, Spyglass, or Spanish Bay. There's 3 courses.
Okay. Yeah, it's very true. Very true. It should say, and there is an asterisk by some of these scores because I think it shows that some of them played on one course and some of them didn't play on, or played on another.
Well, they all have different courses. All right, you go first. I'll let you go first since you're the guest.
Give me Cantlay because
of course you'll take Patrick Cantlay. I'm going to go with Seamus Power.
Oh, Seamus Power, the Irishman. That's a good one. That's good. Give me the American. No, I'm not taking Tom Hogue. There's no way. He'll never hold on. I'm going to take Andrew Putnam. Right to number 151 in the world. He'll probably be nowhere by Sunday, but that's okay.
I will go with – I'm not going to pick any Americans. I'm going to go with Jonas Blixt, the Swede. Those are our golf picks. We'll make sure next Wednesday we got to do our golf picks.
Okay, we'll definitely do that. And then in 3 weeks, the Honda Classic in Fort Lauderdale so the tour comes to Florida in 3 weeks, Honda Classic, and then we get set up for Augusta and TPC.
We had a text come in from William. William says, guys, do y'all know that is only the fifth win Florida women's basketball has ever had over Tennessee?
I did not, but it doesn't surprise me. What does surprise me is that the Gators did it with such ease last night against a really pretty good team. I mean, South Carolina is so far and above everyone else in college basketball. They're kind of like the new UConn in college basketball for women. They are. But, man, watching Florida just trash some of these teams is unbelievable because it hasn't happened since Carol Ross. And that is a very long time ago. So I'm really happy for the Lady Gators, and I want them to do well. And I want this coach to be given a 5-year contract and be named the head coach of the University of Florida. Otherwise, she'll go somewhere else because she's building a resume right now. So I don't think they're going to let it happen. But if they do, shame on them because this girl's got these players playing. Yeah.
All right. So, JC, before we let you go, any chance JC watches any Winter Olympics this weekend?
Zero.
What about you're not going to? Are they having hockey this year?
The NHL guys are here, so who cares? I mean, why do I want to go watch amateurs play hockey in China in front of nobody? Forget it. I mean, I'd rather build a compost in the backyard and throw trash in it. I mean, there's just no reason for it to me. There's no crowds. We are in a country that I really don't like, and so that's it. It's as simple as that. There's no reason. I support the athletes. I'm happy for the athletes. I think it's dangerous that they're over there to begin with, QB. I really do. I don't know why they're there. I don't know why they're there.
Are there did any countries boycott?
No, not that I'm aware of. But we have these politicians boycotting it, which is means nothing. So to me, it's all just for show. And I feel bad I don't feel bad for NBC, but they're the ones who are going to lose the money on this deal. And they're not
going to lose any money because the advertisers have already scoped the check, right?
Well, I don't know how that works with the ratings, but if the ratings are bad, it's not going to look good. And I do think that there were options they could have put in place a year ago to change either the year this was going on or the venues that we're talking about, because we knew that there were issues and nothing was done. So they just shoved them over there. I don't know. I feel bad for the athletes.
Right. Well, we're at that point of the year where it's kind of a small dead period.
Yeah,
you still got college basketball going on, but next week we crank up softball, then the following week baseball. Yeah. So things will start heating up here. And John says our U.S. diplomats boycotted but sent the athletes.
Yeah. Right, that's what I said. But, February is a short month, 28 days, but for some reason February always goes fast to me. Once we get to March, that is a great month. We got lots of exciting things to happen. And February is very important, though, for basketball teams. And one more thing, shout out to Kyrie Appleby for the way he stepped up at that game in Missouri in front of 50 fans and draining free throws. It's probably harder to make those free throws in an empty bar than it is with people screaming and yelling, I would think. So let's hear it for Appleby. Great win for the Gators. I didn't get a chance to talk about that because it was on Wednesday afternoon, but they really needed that one. And it was very, very important to get it. And they need to beat Mississippi on Saturday.
So, Chris, real quick, we're going to let you go after this. Chris says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mental Law, he goes, I can't watch two sports, figure skating and gymnastics. There aren't clear winners and losers because judges arbitrarily choose a winner.
100%. That's why when we asked what sport do we like the best, to me it was downhill skiing because it's a timing thing. Speed skating
Golf is the greatest sport.
Golf is, it's either
because you have rules. There is no judge. There's no guy calling a touchdown back for holding.
Clock, right? There's no time clock. None of that. So, baseball's the same way. I mean, no, baseball.
No, you got balls and strikes.
Yeah, you got
baseball's not even close. Golf is the greatest sport when it comes to clear winners.
Yeah, and I think,
rules, any kind of break a rule, you're penalized.
And any sport that involves any type of racing, because that's timed. Because the clock starts and then it stops, and it's all electronic, so you can't have human error. So I think that's more. I'd rather watch that. I mean, you're right about the discretion of these judges. Who the hell knows what they see and what they think? I don't care. To me, it seems almost political. So the figure skating, the ice dancing, whatever the hell that is, and yeah, I mean, do you know ice dancing? And
I don't know, but be careful. We may have some ice dancers listening to the show that you upset.
I apologize to all of our Gainesville area ice dancers. But, there may be somebody in Montana watching right now training for the 2026 Winter Olympics. So I do apologize to our ice dancers up in Montana or wherever, Michigan. But I do think that those sports are left to the discretionary of things that can be changed. People's brains work differently. And I don't know. It could be political for all we know. So.
Yeah. All right, JC, have a good weekend. We'll talk to you on Monday.
See you Monday. You bet.
That's JC Joyce on the Titan MR hotline. Going to take a time out, come back, get to more of your texts and questions and comments. You're watching and listening to Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, won't back down. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Great Clips, it's gonna be great. Our Gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, South State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Doreen Wiebe Realtor, Caldwell Banker, MM Parish, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Wrap Spot, Okito America, Gators Dockside, Style Cuts, Big Mills Cheesesteaks. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us.
This is Steve Spurrier, and you're invited to hang out with me at the biggest watch party of the year.
You heard the head ball coach. You're invited to Spurrier's Gridiron Grill Sunday, February 13th for the biggest game of the year as Cincinnati takes on Los Angeles, and Spurrier's will be celebrating the game all day. The fun kicks off at 5:30 with the Coach Spurrier meet and greet, and football watch party begins. Then watch the big game at 6:40 p.m. But hurry, spots are limited. Make your reservations now at spurriers.com. That's spurriers.com.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Celebration Points, where the Gators go to celebrate with premium brands like Nike, Regal Cinemas, Lady Macaron, Dave & Buster's, Medici's, Palmetto Moon, and the HBC's restaurant, Spurs Gridiron Grill. Now serving brunch on Saturday and Sundays. We'll see you at Celebration Point, where the Gators go to celebrate. Don't forget, Super Bowl Sunday, you can go to Spurs Gridiron Grill. The head ball coach will be there. You can get pictures taken with him. You can shake his hand. He'll kiss your babies, your grandbabies. Meet and greet with Coach Spurrier on Super Bowl Sunday at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. I got a couple of texts and Facebook Lives to get to. I want to thank JC for joining us on the Titan MR hotline. Andy says, check this out. Dabo Swinney was wearing the exact same blazer as press conference that Billy had on for his. Well, you got to remember, maybe that is a leftover piece of his wardrobe from when he coached at Clemson with Dabo Swinney. Maybe all the coaches were handing out orange blazers, and Billy's wife unit said, you know what, we're going to put this in our storage unit. You never know who you may be coaching for, and we'll bust it back out. So maybe that is, or either they have the same tailor. We got a text on the Titan MR text line. It comes from Cooper. Cooper wants to know, hey, Shane, do you think Mike White gets fired if the Gators don't make the tournament? Boy, isn't that the million-dollar question? This is year 7 for Mike White. He's gone to more consecutive NCAA tournaments than any other coach in the league right now. He's had some bad luck when it comes to injuries. I mean, really, really bad luck. I don't know when Colin Castleton is scheduled to come back. They're finding ways to win games. I'm going to say no. I think they're going to find a way to make the tournament, I hope, just for the excitement of the Gator Nation. It's always good to be in March Madness. Cliff says he thinks he would be fired. It could. I guess my big question is, if that were to happen, who do we go after as a basketball coach? I don't really know. I haven't really given him much thought. Chris Mack is out there now. He just got fired by Louisville. There was talk about him being hired by the Gators when Billy left. The other coach that was talked about to be hired when Billy left was what's the kid's name that was at Dayton and he went to Archie Miller. He's been fired now, so we shall see. John says, do Mike White's players get better over time? Do the ones who make the NBA show good coaching when they get there? I'm trying to. I can't remember all the NBA players that Mike White has had. I can only think of last year. Trey Mann. I think Trey Mann's doing really well. Dan says Anthony Grant. Yeah, Anthony Grant had a really good team last year at Dayton. I don't know how they're doing this year. I think they're so-so. Got to remember, he was fired at Alabama. So I don't know. It's an interesting question. Let's just hope we play better and win more games and make it to the tournament. That's what I'm going to say. Eric says, I hope he is not. Who is better? Yeah, I don't know who you can go get, Eric. I don't have a short list here in front of me of coaches, but we shall see. Cliff says, I agree, but a lot of fans don't like it. There's a lot of fans that don't. They're very upset. But I said this on, I guess me and JC argued about it. I just think it's hard to get top-notch players to come play basketball here. Because like I said, it's not one of the top 15 schools for basketball, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. And I think what Billy did was phenomenal, and I don't think it ever happened here again. Shane says, where's Mad Max? He's coming on soon. I'm trying to get him, man. His schedule's crazy. We were supposed to have him on Wednesday. And then Tuesday night he calls, says I can't get on. So I had Coach Walton come on, who was supposed to come on Thursday. We're still going to get him. I promise you. We may have to tape him at some point. I wanted to have him on live so you guys could ask questions. But we'll definitely get Mad Max on here. He is, I got to work around his schedule. That's the hard part about this show. It's the great part about the show is when you get guests on, but trying to coordinate it sometimes and things come up and it's tough. It's very, very tough. Daniel says, we aren't a blue blood. Duke is my brother. Went to Duke. Nothing like a Duke basketball game. Is your brother's name Duke, I hope, the way I read that? John, whatever happened to Greg Marshall at Wichita State, what happened to him? He got fired. My high school teammate was as an assistant, is now the head coach there, Isaac Brown. We've had him on our program. He had some issues with players, I believe. Temper, calling them names and stuff, if I remember correctly. Really good basketball coach, though. John says, it would be interesting to compare Billy D's average recruiting class versus Mike White. I think you must include transfers as well. Yeah, that'd be a good homework assignment for somebody. I'm surprised somebody from one of these websites hasn't done that. We just got a text here on the Titan Mart text line from Phil. Phil says he thinks Kelly Ray Finley's a better coach than Mike White. Well, we shall see. She's done a phenomenal job. Very, very, very excited for her and the future of the program. Excited for the players. Just think about, there hasn't been a lot of buzz in forever about women's basketball, and just these players, these girls on, winning games, playing well. It's got to be a good feeling for them. Let's take our second time out, come back, take a few more texts and comments, and wrap up this Friday edition. You're watching and listening to Pot Up Matthews in the Morning.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, won't back down. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp. Comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics. Live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Great Clips. It's gonna be great. Our Gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, South State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co. Some of our touchdown sponsors are MB Listing, McDonald's of Gainesville, My IT Masters, Gainesville Neon and Signs, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Avera and Smith, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Ruse Ogra Agent, State Farm Insurance, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the Advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us.
This is Steve Spurrier, and you're invited to hang out with me at the biggest watch party of the year.
You heard the head ball coach. You're invited to Spurrier's Gridiron Grill Sunday, February 13th for the biggest game of the year as Cincinnati takes on Los Angeles, and Spurrier's will be celebrating the game all day. The fun kicks off at 5:30 with the Coach Spurrier meet and greet, and football watch party begins. Then watch the big game at 6:40 p.m. But hurry, spots are limited. Make your reservations now at spurriers.com. That's spurriers.com.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios at South State Bank. We understand that small businesses need a community business partner that they can rely on. South State has 4 convenient Alachua County locations. South State Bank, banking forward, member FDIC. I want to get to a couple of Facebook Lives here brought to you by Mel Law. We'll get out of here. John says, I know Chris Mack just got fired from Louisville, but I think he's a really good coach. He did well at Xavier. He did, but I think he's got some issues, or at least did there. Recruiting or I don't know, off the field stuff. Not sure. Andy says, well, we'll have the highest TV ratings this weekend, the NFL Pro Bowl or the Olympics. God, both just bad viewing. Shane, in your opinion, who is the best head coach in all of UF head coaches? I think you're referring to right now. The stability and what he's done, I would go Tim Walton. Don asks, what's Trey Everett up to these days, Shane? I recall so many great memories with you guys back in the early 90s. Trey, I think he's a pharmaceutical rep or something like that down in the Tampa area. His boy either was a senior last year or coming up this year is a pretty good player. I don't know what high school he goes to. But let's get to This Day in Sports, brought to you by our good friends at Comfort Temp. Comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. Comfort Temp's now hiring. All levels of experience, $1,000 signing bonus. Give Comfort Temp a call, 352-376-2366. This Day in Sports, in 1969, the great John Madden was named the head football coach of the Oakland Raiders. That's brought to you by our good friends at Comfort Temp. So if you got any heating or air problems, give them a call. I don't know who this is from, but it says, you are so negative about men's basketball future. I don't know who you are, buddy, but you're talking to the wrong guy. And that's not me. White makes $3 million. Why can't you be positive about the future? This might even pump up attendance. White has no charisma. $3 million at 7 years, over 20 million. Don't we expect more for this? I do. Be more positive. Well, you're the one being negative there, Chief. I love Mike White. I don't know who this guy is or what he's referring to, but he obviously does not listen very well. And just because I said that we are not a top 15 basketball program, in my opinion, has nothing to do with attendance there, Chief. That's the silliest thing I've ever heard. So anyway, Greg says Russell Wilson balled out in the skills competition last night. I missed that. Anyway, hope you guys have a great weekend. Hopefully the Gators find a way to beat Ole Miss. We'll recap it all on Monday. Today's show's a wrap, brought to you by Wrap Spot. See you on Monday.
1st and 10. Matthews, near side, wide open, Alonzo Sullivan. He may go. Touchdown, Gators.